we go through the camera or do the question while we're streaming or before?
We're just streaming right now.
We're streaming right now.
We're streaming right now, so we're just having a conversation about.
Is there any way to turn the microphone to where it's more centered, so we get a more full sound from everybody?
Yeah, maybe right down in the or. It's gonna be maybe use this chair to be that. Maybe use this chair to do that. Kelly, so it's out here in the middle, so it's closer to people's mouths.
You want it on a hard surface?
That should be good, I would say.
Okay. Did you already check the audio levels? Okay.
Cool. Should be picking up. Really good.
All right. Well, you guys already got things. You guys already.
Yeah, we explained what we're doing.
Okay, so how do we want to?
So yeah, let's talk about.
Do we already pick out a question that we want to talk
about?
Picked out a question,
so let's just start with that.
Yeah, who wants to get started?
Does everyone know each other? Have you all met?
Yeah.
Let's
start with Cameron. Introduce yourself and why you're here.
I'm Cam. I'm here because I ended up here. I was guided here. Here I am.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We'll get to meet you.
That's about it.
Well, welcome. You're more than welcome here, Cam. We're looking forward to getting to know you.
Lincoln, I think everybody here at this point, except for the new one in the corner.
Merrick and Lincoln don't know each other yet.
No.
You're gonna special person meets very special person.
Right. Yeah. I'm here because more people need me.
Awesome.
So true. Thank you.
I'm Kelly. I met Cam just now, and I don't know these three, but I know Cam, Brandy, and Ashton too. So I'm here to try to expand my horizons and get new perspectives and perceptions on things.
Very cool. What a great place to be.
I'm Jordan. I know Lincoln, and I just met everybody else here today.
Well, good to
And
meet
it's
you.
been so fun meeting you, Jordan.
Beautiful.
I've been loving it so much. I can see why you and Bay are really close.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Thank you for being the way you are.
Always, bro.
I'm Alex. I'm here because I'm Ashton's brother and because I want to expand my social network and get more cozy with myself and others.
Well said, brother.
I'm Merrick. I'm here because I know Ashton and Alex, and I was curious to see what was eating up most of Ashton's free time now.
Very nice. Well, welcome, Merrick.
Well, I'm Ashton. I know a lot of you. I met two of you just today. And me, Ken, and Brandy have all really started this whole group, and we've been very passionate about it. And it's taking up pretty much all my time right now. But every day I'm just meeting beautiful people, so I'm not working a day in my life.
Well said.
Nice. I'm Brandy, Ken's other, and I've just met a couple of you, but helping with COZSNUG and Surrender Lab and empowering empathy with all wanting to help.
Yes.
Wait, it's your turn.
This is Braden. He's just getting here right now. I'll take my turn in one fast second. Braden, just come on in, buddy. Downstairs. At my house, downstairs in the basement. Oh my. Sorry about that. It's my bad. I know, that's my bad, buddy. You're right. Yeah, we're over here. Come on. We'll see you in a second. All right. Buddy, buddy. You guys will like Braden, those of you who haven't met Braden. I'm Ken, and I am really, really, really excited about all this. Very, very excited. Because every single person I get to meet nowadays is just somebody who teaches me some new thing. I saw this new beautiful thing walking on my porch, and I was like, what the? There's brightness coming out of your eyes at a high level, bro. And it just makes me want to know what's back there. I want to add you to me as fast as I possibly can, because now I just want to receive instead of resist you. That's me right now. I want to just gobble up every single part of what you have already put together in this life because I haven't got your experience yet. And so I want to receive you all the way into myself and love you all the way because I just feel like that's what I am. I'm love. I'm love. I'm a love all the way. And I love that. So with that said, so what is the question that we were going to explore?
Alright, I am combining two that are kind of the same. So what are some of the biggest challenges or something you've learned from a difficult experience in life or a challenge that you faced? And how did you overcome it, or how has that changed you? So a difficult experience or challenge and what you've learned from that, basically, is the question.
My head immediately went to Jordan and the conversation we just had on the back porch and me finding out about your past.
Which one?
Like what you've gone through with your with all of your addictions.
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable starting us off talking about all that?
Sure.
And what you gained from it?
There's just a lot. There's not a place to start, bro. But hopelessly addicted to drugs at an extremely young age, 14. Just because I felt lost. Upbringing was Mormon upbringing, and I followed because that's what my parents told me. I didn't know any better because I just loved and trusted my parents. When I started seeing them not do some of the things they were telling me to do, I started to question stuff because I'd never heard from God the way that they had. So I unfortunately got into drugs, but it was all part of a bigger lesson to teach me about being at the lowest of the low vibrations with every substance I could possibly get my hands on, as much of whatever I wanted, because I climbed out of it so I can help other people climb out of it. You know what I mean?
So beautiful.
And I've only found healing through doing ceremony, honestly. Like, it's found the most peace I've ever felt in my life in healing, and meeting other people who are on that path of healing, because we all are here to teach each other. So I just overcoming that was too many things to talk about in what, but it's like ultimately what led me to overcoming it was getting in touch with myself and my higher power, and tuning in to reality instead of reacting to it, living it,
Well said. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
There's like a million directions you could go with all that, right?
Too many.
Like every single
too
story
many,
you had.
bro. It would take up a whole hour.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
of course.
Awesome. Does anybody else feel like there's been
growth challenges?
You've never had any of those, right, Link?
Oh no. I did a little bit what Jordan did, kind of just on purpose. Like when I got through the disillusionment and realized that the institutional lines were just some autonomous nonsense that had been passed down for so many generations that nobody really understood, what the hell facts were hardly anymore. It was also just disinformation riddled. I decided I was going to go try all the drugs to get good information about them. There's no published information about them. So kind of followed a similar path as his, just by nature of the it made sense. On a different level, and then hearing that puts in another perspective. Being able to understand how it's the curl and the curl or vice versa.
He sent me the wrong area.
I'm super excited about it.
Oh shit.
Beautiful that camera.
I find yourself any spot. You can sense the camera's just right here. That way.
Everybody.
Is there enough room for everybody?
We can sit back on
Here's
the
also
party's
Bevan.
machine,
I also,
too.
anybody can sit on the ground as well. I'm happy to sit on the floor.
Or even back on the Pilates machine.
And there's two more. There's one more seat right here. Okay, well, this all works.
Nice.
Because
Well, I guess since we have some new people, I'm going to reiterate the question that we're talking about. So right now we're going around, we're asking this question. We're kind of just going around sharing, when we feel it's right and sharing what we want. And the question is essentially, what is something that you've learned from a difficult experience or one of your biggest challenges in life, and how has it changed you?
And Link was in the middle of telling us his.
It's how stuff's changed me though. It's like after having gone, I think I spent first 5 of 7 in my adult years incarcerated, and it's been pretty much all uphill since then, but not without pits and valleys along the way. But it just was kind of made evident to me the capability of the human, because I've never really looked at myself as remarkable other than the perspective with which I was taking intentionality, and it just proved to me that we are capable beings on just about any level to do anything we want to do. Like it doesn't matter where you think you've been. You can walk yourself right the fuck out of there.
Right.
Right. and come back to a level of being honorable to yourself.
Yeah, with clarity again instead of confusion or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a oh no I lost it thing. It's a oh no I tripped. Better get the fuck back up. Keep moving on.
Right. I have all the options.
It's like getting lost in the sauce is a whole. It takes on a little bit more meaning when you look at it like that.
Right.
Pick your sauce. So it could be anything. It's usually some sort of neuro soup. It's dopamine oriented.
Fuck yeah.
Could be Facebook, could be drugs, could be fucking sex, could be whatever. But
Food, Diet Coke,
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
whatever you're sitting there jonesing for, that you just gotta have that you're crutching on.
Yeah, but the onward, upward.
Exactly.
The more you know, the more you know there is that you've got to learn.
Exactly. Yeah, well said, Lane. Nobody else is in here has had difficult times in their lives, probably. And I understand. We're pretty advanced and stuff. So. I get it. We all forget about that stuff.
Well, my life has
Acid,
been a series of challenges, a lot of which had to do with alcohol. And I got a 2-year chip a couple days ago. And
Congratulations.
not like I don't do the program anymore. It was like super helpful early, and then I was like, oh, it's not about what these people are saying. It's about finding people that you resonate with and stop I needed to stop running from myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know myself, and then
Right.
getting clarity for the first time ever was what I learned, and then it's just been lesson after lesson after lesson daily.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful. I feel like I can see more than 2 steps ahead for the first time. I'm
For the first time.
Here's the yellow brick road. And did you notice there's words on all of them?
Right. Words. They know.
Words, symbols, arts, geometries. Very interesting the yellow brick road is.
Right?
Egregores.
Yeah.
Who else has anything they want to share about a difficult time they had? Alex, were you going to say something?
Yeah, a couple of years ago I was working in Montana on a ranch, and God, I loved it. It was a seasonal job, but they had offered me to stay for the winter, and I just wasn't consistent, and it cost me that opportunity. So I know that if I want to have the things I want to have, I need to be more consistent in my actions and my dealings and my everything.
Beautiful. What a beautiful lesson to learn.
Yeah, you learned it. Got it younger than a lot of people do.
Right. I love watching this beautiful human in action. Oh, thank you for sharing that.
I would probably have to say one of the hardest things in my life was to deprogram myself from being a sovereign citizen, because my dad, my entire life's been a conspiracy theorist and got me, like Lincoln, actively questioning authority at a very young age. I was 14 when he really hooked me, because that's when I started smoking weed and expanding my mind. And it's, well, it was your dad, so you're supposed to trust your family. And for about 10 years, I was down that rabbit hole, and it was really hard to get out. I'd say actually studying what I was being told, studying the law helped, but I would say etymology and language was the most helpful, because it showed me that the ideas that the sovereign citizens are preaching about their word salad stuff that they do, that it's irrelevant because the words etymologically mean what they mean. There might be the legalese, but the bigger picture is that legalese comes from this etymological source. So what they're preaching about matter? And it changed my life because it gave me the critical thinking skills that I was lacking. I went to critical thinking. I had a class in it when I went to college, but I didn't really utilize the skills that they were trying to teach me. And learning those skills to be able to break myself free from that has just changed my life all around. Because
what was the biggest thing that you were experiencing? So you were a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
And can you just explain that for all of us so we understand the basic of what that means and what you were up against? Because what was the pain you were feeling? You were kind of feeling like a prisoner in this?
So I felt it's a tax protest movement, but it has so many branches and so many different tactics to go at it. It's all encompassing. There's a lot of different things that are more than just the tax protesting and stuff. It was 2011, I got in trouble for weed, and the officer, I told him I was a sovereign citizen. And, oh yeah, whatever. Arrested me and coerced me to rat myself out. Anyways, I went to the pre-trial investigator as part of having to go to court. And what really kind of started me on the path was when he told me to my face, a sovereign citizen, huh? Well, I'm trained to deal with people like you. And that was kind of a wake-up call to me, because I was hearing this from my dad and his friend, but the nasty evil government is trained to deal with people like us. What are we doing that we're on the government's radar? And then it started kind of just making me question what I was being told by my father and his buddy and the people that they were connected with. And so when that happened, I found another group that taught me about another aspect of it. It was called state nationalism. And I just bounced around, and I found a guy in late 2011, 2012 that was the one that told me about the etymologies, like study language and etymology, and study the Law of Nations by Vattel, and to see how the United States was made, and you'll start to free yourself from this sovereign crap. And he was right. I started reading that stuff, and none of what they were saying made any sense anymore. So to answer your question, when I was in that mentality, I felt like I was a prisoner to the system. I mean, I still do have that kind of a mentality because of just what I've learned along the way in my journey, and what I feel are lies we're all taught, but that's an entirely different subject. And so, yeah, the prisoner feeling, I guess, has kind of remained, but it's more just an awareness that there is a prison and I want out of it. And so that's just kind of what I've been trying to figure out the past 12 years. So. Sorry for taking so long.
No, don't apologize. That was, thank you so much for sharing all that. That was very, thanks for being vulnerable and opening yourself all the way up like that. It's beautiful, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Every single one of us, constantly in life, have had difficult things, right? It's like what we like that fight. We like polarity.
Scheduling is difficult things every day.
Right.
Scheduling and logistics.
Yeah, so it seems kind of easy that we can pull from, like, hey, we just, what I mean, I could name off like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of things that I've found challenging and the lessons I got out of it. Do we, does anybody else have one they want to share right now? I think it's something that they had that was difficult. What do you want to share, Jack?
Heartbreak.
Mm.
Heartbreak's really fucking hard when you're young and trying to look for love, and you just have that drive to, you know. And when you find out that your partner is probably also in that same, you know, bubble of looking for love with, but it's blind. It's like a blind drive, you know what I mean? Because you don't really know what love is, and you don't really know how to be with someone, you know? So when you, at the end of that learning experience with that person, whoever it may be, it's just one of the hardest things I've personally ever experienced, especially when you give your life and heart to them, thinking it'll all be okay and you'll be with them forever and you'll fucking die with them because you have this imaginary, you know, plan and goal, but you really can't set expectations so fucking high. You know what I mean? In any relationship, there should be no expectations. It should just be in the present moment. And if you're both trying to figure shit out, you should both communicate that to each other and figure shit out together if you're, you know, going to do that. But
Now at least you're communicating.
at least you're communicating. But even then, it's hard as hell because even if you both think, hey, yeah, I still don't really know how to be in a relationship, and you healthily reciprocate that with each other, it's still like, now what? You know, how, now that it's said that we both don't know how to love each other, how the fuck, you know what I mean?
Do we just settle into heartbreak? And
Yeah.
this is so difficult. I have my own versions of this, and it's so. I mean, some of the most pain that we ever go through, I've ever gone through, is
The solution.
epitome of heartache, right then.
The solution I found, the main, not really a solution, but one of the things you have to do is you have to light your own flame before you can light others.
Yeah, well said.
And it's, you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. Because if you don't love yourself, then where's that love coming from?
Where's the love?
Yeah.
If you don't know that it exists right then.
You know, I feel like a big part of that is just this feeling of loss. I feel like a lot of times, like, we try to hold on to things in our life, you know, and everything's impermanent, you know, nothing lasts forever. And it's, you know, depending, you know, you could be married to someone, but one day they may pass away, and that's you'd experience that loss the same. And, like, yeah, it's just getting comfortable with that, right? Like, really feeling
It's hard.
feeling
Yeah,
that
it's so,
possibility and just accepting it, right?
right? But eventually, yeah, like the acceptance of it lets us get to a place of balance again. But it's like, it doesn't take away the fact that the whole entire thing is like, that's all of my real experience. The heartache in it is, I mean, it'll never be not a part of my life. It is there. But then now I know how to, now I have love.
Yeah.
So why would I focus on that when I know how to, like, right now, just be in love with and try to get more information from all of you.
Now that you have that love, think about it to where it was like, because like as I expand my consciousness, my perspective, I notice everything that hurt me is a lesson if you allow it to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it
Every
doesn't
moment
have to hurt you at that point because
Exactly.
it got you to where you're at.
Exactly. So yes, it's a part of your experience,
Yeah.
and you can value somebody else having it right then. If you're in the middle of feeling heartbreak, then I can go all the way there and be there right with you because I know and I know and I know, and I'm not just gonna say, well, hey, here's how you get out of it.
The hardest part, though, is when that person betrays you, and that's how it ends. And the other, and
Wow.
your trust is just completely broken in the person that you chose to love and chose to say, this is the person that I love. And then they fucking hurt you. It's like you're just like kind of there and in shock, and it's the feeling of shock when whatever happens. And I was betrayed, and it was really hard. But
Wow. I'm so sorry, buddy.
it's okay. But it's always going to be hard. That's why there needs to be programs like this. You know what I mean? In order to teach people before they go through that shit. But in my opinion, people that go through it are some of the strongest people I've ever met. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you there, Gray.
Yeah,
It's like kind of a heavier. This is like our heaviest COZSNUG conversation
definitely
yet.
our heavy discussion, yeah.
But it's this is how we get to know each other too. This is helpful, right?
Depth is more important than direction.
Well said, Link. Depth is more important than direction.
It's funny how all these heavy experiences have this like inverse, and it's just based on our perspective of it. like,
Exactly.
going
That's
through
what I was saying, bro. Exactly.
like loss and heartbreak and like not being able to control oneself. You know, like these are hard things that give us access to much higher experiences.
Exactly.
The ability to control everything.
It's not to dismiss it like it didn't hurt, but it's like it helped you grow.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
I feel like some of the most
It's hard
realist, some of the realist experiences that I have, where I feel the most myself, are where I'm like in a ball crying. You know?
If you're confronting those feelings,
Yeah.
they're part of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're totally the credit society, and that includes dealing with that shit sometimes.
Someday I'll cry those tears.
Yeah.
Someday I'll cry it out.
Maybe on Saturday.
Maybe Saturday. Maybe Saturday we'll cry it out. We will all have one big cry sesh together. Get all the rest of the tears
That's
out.
what the mushrooms are for.
What's that?
That's what the mushrooms are for.
Yeah, exactly.
Pitches them into the happiest tears ever. It shows you the other contrast of it.
It's a good way to put it. Contrast. You're right.
Contrast,
Well,
yeah.
because you just
Polarity,
keep adding-
duality. We want
If you just
this.
keep
We want
adding
this.
light,
We want
eventually your
this.
picture's washed out.
Yeah.
If you keep adding dark, eventually you see nothing. So you have to balance these things
Yeah.
to get the best picture. The
Yeah.
best understanding.
When you say duality, shouldn't we have a triality?
Well, that's even, yeah, thank you. Even, yeah, thank you for taking the conversation to the next level. Kelly, you knew that we could do that.
That's just kind of
That might get a little more.
This is whiteboard jokes.
We can start whiteboarding the power of three maybe next COZSNUG. Okay?
Speaking of which, remind me to grab those whiteboards. Yes, I've got a bunch. We could cover walls with them.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Like they're just flat, like single panels.
Oh, bro. Yes. Please. Yes. Let's do that. Let's have a whole. Let's have a design room.
I think they're still in it.
I love that idea because we love to word slam, and that'd be a fun playground, right?
Yeah.
We could have some games. We could do word
Your
games.
biggest budgetary item is going to become dry erase markers.
Dry erase markers.
And string.
Yeah. Who went down to the store to buy ours today?
Magnets. Oh no, it's going to be fun.
Dry erase markers every day.
This has been a funny thing lately. Like the last 1 or 2 weeks. So this is called Surrender Lab, right?
Yeah.
So like a surrender practice showed up in my field. I'm like, okay, I'm really gonna apply this. Here's all these opportunities to surrender to difficult things, and then which lead into more beautiful things, more opportunities, right? And the idea of duality being like no longer this or that, they keep showing up, right? Like the sign. I was leaving the grocery store and there was a left turn only and a no left turn sign right next to each other. And it's so it's not this or that. It's like both, and it's really just how we choose to look at it.
Right.
And there's no wrong answer. Like it's really like, do you want to learn the lesson this way or this way? It's gonna get you kind of to the same place.
The hard way or the easy
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's been fun. I don't have to pick anymore. There's no light and dark. There's no like this or that. It just is.
And it seems like we have to have that attitude in order to be surrendered. And I want to say this too, because it's been something we talk about a lot right now, all of us, because I've never been more aware of how much I care about every single little thing. And so now it's like, I'm all of a sudden really moral again. I said, fuck morals for a long time, and everybody that knows me knew that I was just this puppy that just said, I'm curious. Yeah, I like, and I'm just trying to figure it all out. And now I'm in a place where I can't say that any single part of me wouldn't step in to save every single person that I saw that was being harmed. You know, I now care about all of it. So if somebody's not enjoying their present moment, I believe they do deserve it. So I feel like this moral obligation almost to be my highest and best self constantly, because that's what I called myself to do. So now I'm all the way moral again. And so now I'm trying to write new words for myself as to, hey, I don't have shoulds and shouldn'ts, but I just added in some shoulds and shouldn'ts, but now they're all intentionality, manifesting intentionality with togetherness. And now it's not just a me, but I feel like I'm always doing that by saying, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? So we're doing it. It's a we now. I know how to be a we instead of a me. And that we is highly moral.
The morals, you have your personal morals, right? So they're based on, they sound like your experiences versus something that is given to you. This is how to live. Here's the instruction manual. You're like, no, through my experiences and things that I don't know, man, my wins and losses, ups and downs, your morals are based on that. You want to be in service to others, then that's what you're going to do. Each circumstance is going to require a different right and wrong.
Exactly.
What's right in this situation could be the opposite in another.
Exactly. Well said. Yes, exactly. Right. Yes, that's what I have discovered. So as soon as I'm okay with everything being uncertain, and I really know full surrender, my full system knows full surrender, all my emotions know full surrender, my mentality knows it, my physicality knows it, my sociality knows it, my spirituality knows it. All the parts of me know surrender. Value surrender. It makes life easier. So we get to that point, surrender, surrender, surrender. Now we can actually just be observing, but more than just observing. What is it like to participate inside of our breath? Now we're all of a sudden become whoa, look at all the other people here. We can start co-creating stuff. And now here we are, look at what we're doing. We're co-creating in an environment where nobody's being forced to be here. Nobody's has any malintent towards anybody else. It's obvious in the energy of what we've created, right? Because we've all said, hey, I want to come together, and we all have a different place that we're coming from, but with the same intentionality. It's kind of a collective thing. And so all of a sudden here we're just developing collective trust. What? On the planet there's collective trust? I went to a yoga convention 2 years ago, and they said, set an intention. And I sat there and wept to myself to think, I guess I gotta have collective trust at some point, but right now I don't. I'm gonna set this intention, collective trust. Because people don't look at me with dignity. They don't see me. I can tell. I'm the one who knows it's when I'm talking to them if I'm seen with dignity or not. And it was so rare that anyone ever would see the actual human in me. I gotta start putting some words together to this, because this is bullshit. Nobody's loving on each other, and I know that love exists. It's inside of us, and I just want to smack people, but that's not love. And so how do I get rid of my desire to smack people and help them see love? Well, so you start spewing words, and they're like the sword, and they start just dividing things, and they become really powerful. And I found out that our words matter, and that's why we have COZSNUG night. We have now a universal word. Are you kidding me? This is like the most. It's like I'm so giddy about this. Aren't we cool that we just came up with a word that universally we can all mean to get cozy toward one another instead of just not having a word like that? This is kind of basic. Now, what does it mean?
Relatability.
What's that?
It's creating relatability.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. The
In
words
very corner
create relatability. So
behind
here
the
are
blanket.
relatable
There you go.
words, and it automatically shines the light on the unrelatable words. The unrelatable words don't even get talked about because now it's obvious. Here we have relatable words now. We've moved into a place of co-creation instead of acting like individualism and self-sufficiency are like the highest and best thing. Cool to get yourself independent, right?
It's like interdependence.
It's even, and that word is even kind of like, it's just kind of weak. To me, interdependence is just like, I got that from Stephen Covey's book, but it's kind of still a weak word. It's like, because we're not just dependent. I don't want to be dependent on anybody or anything. It's more like we're just co-creating and we're love emerging.
Singularly oriented.
And we're singularly oriented where we're starting the idea of collective trust. Isn't this like changing the all of humanity?
It's
Where on the
evolution,
planet?
bro.
What's that?
It's evolution, bro.
This is exactly what we're doing. We're evolving because we're smart enough to say, hey, this is what we can do. Because we believe we deserve it. We all deserve it.
Sometimes when you're making these small steps, you stumble and find yourself uphill.
Yeah, well said.
When you start doing good things for good reasons, it can definitely go that way.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yes. And I know you know that from some of the experiences that we shared.
Sometimes that top stair hits you in the chest real hard.
Yeah. But you know what? You pick yourself up, you're there.
But you're getting there.
Look at that, you're already at the top of the stairs. No effort needed to get there anymore.
Yeah, except you forgot your charger downstairs.
Oh!
You don't have to get up, just slide.
No, Randy, you can just tell Ryder to go down and get it for you. Or Easton.
Oh, no,
Or ask me.
When you remember there's things you have to go get down the stairs, you start to make it a habit of how fun can you go down the stairs.
Now we make a slide out
to get ahead of the drudgery of coming back up them. I was 8 once.
We all pushed our brother down the stairs within a box at one point, right?
Oh man, pillows as little bobsleds. Rolled up in front so they didn't
Yeah,
catch
you
and
just
make
hold
you
up the top.
face
Yes,
plant.
yes.
A laundry basket.
Oh, those ones get on fast.
The sled,
Just
snow
that
melts.
Just
You
that
still
hand.
got your stairs.
You've just made it dangerous.
You know, I'll tell you guys an experience that I had that just came to mind because of what was just said. All of that made me think of my son Jake, who's my fourth child. He was so brave as a little kid. I remember him not even knowing how to count or do anything yet. He would just make sounds. He'd get up on the back of the couch, like stand up on the back of it. He'd put his hands down to his side like this. He'd go, gunk, gunk, gunk. And I knew he was counting to 3. And he would dive head first off the couch. And I was his dad. And his mom. And we were just like, no, our babies can't do this. No. And I was freaked out. But I was always like just super intrigued by the level of bravery of this little human. Just blew my mind. Well, when he was around, I don't remember, seems like he was maybe around 3. He had this little thing where he was just a candy fiend. And everywhere you'd find just candy wrappers piled in, and he'd have chocolate all over his face, and you'd ask him, and he'd just bold-faced lie right to you. And we were just like, so I had this thing. I was just like, I need to tame this little, he just needs to know what the scriptures say, you know? He needs to understand this. And I had this really aggressive, super aggressive way of dealing with him. And nowadays, I've wept about that so many times. I haven't even talked to him about it yet. About how much it's pained me to know how. This thing was a 3-year-old. But he was just like giving me this full attitude. He was like, all right, you want to act like an adult? I'll treat you like one then. And I would force him to stand in the corner for a long time, and until he would say he wasn't gonna. I was just not. I was trying to. I'm probably making it sound worse, but I just can't stand the way that I parented so many ways. I was trying to do my best, but I look back and I'm just like, I would do it so different now. And little Jake, I struggled up against that. This is one of the hardest things I ever dealt with in my life up to that point. He's just given me this, I was super, super Mormon. I super believed in every single aspect of it. I could just go and just pray this, and so I went in and by our ottoman, in our family room, and I just knelt down and I prayed my guts out to know what to do, because I didn't know what to do. And as I sat there in this really super present moment, honest with myself, like, I can't be doing any of this anymore. I need a different answer. All of a sudden I started to see. It was so simple. It was so simple. I started to see that Jake needed something else to focus on. He just needed some other thing to actually want to get. Because he was being denied everything, and he just wanted to get what he wanted. So at whatever cost, I'm going to get my candy or whatever. And so the lesson I got taught was ask questions. Don't tell your son something. Ask him questions. I started thinking what kind of questions I could come up with. And so I started thinking, wow, I could just and all of a sudden it started coming to me like in a little vision of like, I could just paint it down in a little, and I really quickly, I grabbed some objects and I brought him over and I said, hey Jake, you know how you've been taking candy and stuff and doing that behind our backs and all that, and all of a sudden I was just this really way different person. I felt like I actually had his total best interest in mind, that finally I wasn't just selfishly clinging to my idea that he had to be a certain kind of a son. And I said, you know how you've been focused on that candy right here? And, well, I want you to know, and I can't remember exactly what I did, but I said I put aside some sort of amount of candy or something. I said, I want you to know that that's there for you, and I want you to know there's a chance that you can get that, and I want to show you real clear and easy the path to get that, but I also want to show you this other little path. And I drew out and I talked him through this whole other path where I said something to the effect of, you know, if you were to do this, and I started showing him like more like honest behavior. I said, if you do something like this, I wouldn't just want you to have candy. I'll make sure that you get like this big old huge cake, like whatever, it was like this big huge massive amount of like some cake that he would just be like, that's better than any candy I could ever even dream of, you know? So I tried to make sure the reward seemed like it was this bigger thing, and just that transparency, that conversation, and it changed everything. It changed everything to that experience for me, and I learned how to be more gentle in that, and I've been learning that ever since. So thank you to my son Jake, and all of you who continually teach me gentleness and sensitivity in my approach to others, fully empowering my own empathy, trying to constantly do that.
Definitely takes some work. I wish my dad could realize that. Seriously. Yeah.
Maybe he does. Maybe he's already realizing it. Maybe you guys just haven't had the conversation.
Hopefully.
My
He
mother.
has a 1-year-old right now.
Oh, your dad has a 1-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So he's trying again.
I loved when you told me about your dad. The video you showed me of him skateboarding, I was like, this guy looks like one of the most fluid skateboarders I've ever seen.
Like,
the
yeah.
way his body moves, it was like, wow, he's graceful.
Oh yeah.
made all these things look just so easy.
He's
just
a great person. I'm sure you were too, and you didn't really know how to parent. We're trying all these things. You know, you were doing your best,
Yeah.
and he is too. But in his mind right now, he thinks that that's enough. Like he sees the work he can do, but he thinks that I'm just good and I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. I think that's the way it's gonna be.
And you would rather, what would you rather really have?
For him to realize, but I don't think it's really up to me to decide what he wants in his life. And if he doesn't want me in his life that way, then he doesn't want me in his life that way. So it's all right. I don't have this crazy primal attachment to him. You know what I mean? So like, I'm good. We've had enough talks, but yeah, I love him.
Thank you for sharing that, Jax.
Sure. I really appreciate you, and I wish my dad could do that. Yeah, you're very strong.
Well, I'm just you.
Strong as fuck. You're strong as fuck.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're at like 10, 15 minutes left, by the way, so we're gonna try to speed this up. I'm gonna go next, I guess. I've experienced a lot of different hardships, differently. I'm still pretty young, so I have more time to fall. But one of the hardest things I think I ever went through was really deciding to quit working at my parents' company. They had a equipment finance company. Actually, Alex works there right now. But I worked there for, I don't know, 7, 8 years. And it was really hard on me because I had done a lot of things. I went and did professional gaming for like a whole summer, or like 6 months, and that was really cool. Like I had done all these things where I really felt like I could do anything. I could go into anything I wanted. But here I was working in an office because it was the safest thing to do. And I really struggled with that for years. Every day I knew that I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I was there because it was safety.
Yeah. Safety net.
Because the safety net, whatever. And it really, I started meditation, I started learning about really how valuable it is to be where you want to be, and how being, authentic and going where you want to go is actually better for other people, because you're not holding any kind of resistances that you're going to project on someone else.
It enables you to be an example.
Yeah.
And be it fully because you feel about it,
Right. So, it taught me so much about, no matter how, good you set up your life, you should always be mindful that if there's any darkness still there, it will show up and you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I got to this point where I was like, I'm living my complete dream except for my work.
Which is a lot of life.
Yeah, which is a lot of life.
Which is, I think most people can relate to exactly what you just said. It's most of the people that we know, we all talk very similarly.
Yeah, it was scary because I jumped out into doing this. I'm doing this for full time now. We're doing more and more. At the time when I quit, it was like we held an hour meditation on Monday nights. We had 2 or 3 people coming sometimes, and I knew it was right to go into, no matter how scared I was, and I just knew I had to make that leap. So I just think it's kind of a lesson of just any amount of fear, any amount of leaps and cliffs you're going to jump off.
Well, the bed you sleep on is 8 hours of your life.
Yeah,
And
right,
then
so-
your work should be just as important of a thing.
Exactly. Very much so.
Thanks, Ash. Thank you for sharing that. It was so good.
That's awesome.
I was definitely aware how intense that was for you. Oh yeah, thank you.
Just this will be my first day at one of these. I went to a meditation on Monday, I think. But just looking around the room, I feel like, just from my experience, through the people you meet, you really, all people really want is to be heard. And that's all. When I look around the room, everyone just wants to be heard and tell their story. And you know, it's just awesome that there's a place like this. You know, 'cause everyone just wants to feel like they can be loved, right?
Right?
Like they're lovable.
It's so simple. Do I feel lovable? Am I lovable, guys?
I would say so, bro.
You guys are
Thank
all
you for
really
feeling
lovable.
like I'm a lovable human.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be relatable. Thank you, Brady. Yes.
For sure.
That's what you have been a very big teacher to me the whole time. Braden and I lived together for a year. The last year of my last place I lived, and with Cam, and you taught me sensitivity. You taught me sensitivity to so many levels. You taught me gentleness. Still teach me gentleness all the time. Thank you. Love you, buddy.
Love all you guys. That was great. Like, I just came here. I fucking love you guys.
Yes, exactly. Because you're lovable, and you know that now. You know that you're in a place where you are lovable. We're all lovable here. Everybody here is lovable.
All love, bro. All of us.
Everybody's
love,
so
bro.
loved right here. But it's not just us that's loving on us. There's more to this.
We gotta like let ourselves be loved, right?
Exactly.
It's like it's so like
We have to surrender into it.
You have to
Surrender
realize
first.
that you are love.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly right, Jordan.
It's like an ocean. Love is so abundant when you realize that.
It's never ending. Just constant love emerging, love emerging, love emerging.
It'll give us as much as you let it.
Oh yeah.
Right. It just keeps on expanding. It's beautiful.
Having the lack of love made you realize the desire for it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Contrast, duality.
Exactly. We wanted to know what it was like to be in our cocoons all the way.
Having it betrayed, or outright scorned, or spit on, or whatever else. Yeah, it gives you a lot of different
Perspective.
Does anybody else want to share a time like before we? How much time do we have left? Anybody?
Yeah, like 10 minutes, if that, 5 to 10, depending on what we can go for.
We can also talk about other topics too. We have lots of other questions. Our idea originally was just like, here's a whole bunch of questions to empower our empathy. We don't do this very often in society. Ask each other questions to empower our empathy. So let's start doing this. And so we have a whole list of questions. We can start to talk about some of those, or we can read through them.
Let's slow down. Not everyone's spoken on this question.
No, I know. So that's what I'm saying.
It's definitely good practice at any rate.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
A little easier every time.
Right.
I really appreciate the idea of collective trust. Trust kind of implies like trust in something, and all of you being together is like creating an entity that we're all a part of. This is an etheric thing that we all participate in and create it. It's rad. And then learning to trust that gives us access to trust in ourselves as part of that thing within the context of this
Yes.
thing that exists.
Yes.
That's rad. It's beautiful. So thank you all for doing that.
Yes. Thank you for being an integral part of it tonight with all of us. Every single one of us plays that exact same role, right? Whether we're talking or not, look what we're doing. We're sharing our energetic space. We're sharing each other. We're sharing this oneness of, hey, we can sit here and slew words around. We all have different beliefs.
Well, it's like coming together as a community and acting as a unit is the same thing as like a corporation, except for we're like more like an egregore of light. And it's like an egregore is just an etheric corporation.
What is an
essentially.
egregore? Thought form.
It's a cool concept.
It's an actual
Yeah, I
real
was thinking
thing. It's a
there's- I was
vibration
thinking
that's
GC
created.
yeah.
Expand upon that, Link.
Well,
Expand
no,
upon
it's
it.
Dixon Rhyme.
Oh, it was like we created this entity, this egregore of this empowering empathy and community trust and the principles that we thrive in.
Yes.
And as it
Thank
grows
you.
and can show people and expose people to these new things, and they can feel that and see it and understand it, like I mean, it's there's no way it doesn't blossom.
Because it's just light that just
Why
goes
wouldn't you?
forth.
Why wouldn't you?
It becomes a beacon of collaborative enjoyment to the world, a beacon of collective trust. All the things that we can just so effortlessly fall right into if we want to. Just get present for a second. Just go to your breath. Let me be okay with the present moment. As soon as I'm okay, Doesn't take very long, really. Anybody can do it within a minute or two. Just long, good, deep nasal breathing. Just start to observe instead of think about it. Just observe, go to breath, and just start playing around in that space of just being there. Now all of a sudden you're present. It doesn't take very many, like a minute or two, 4 seconds in through the nose, 6 seconds out, and all of a sudden you've engaged your parasympathetic nervous system. You just basically found a way to like, boom, level up and not have to be driven by fight or flight. Everything's right and wrong. Because we're not relatable yet. So then we just gain the relatability skill by saying, I'm going to surrender first.
Well, then
And accept everything's okay.
When you surrender it and you realize the position of where you are, you can move forward with confidence, knowing what the things are that need to be done.
Actual confidence instead of some kind of a feigned approach to anything.
Yeah.
Using watered down words like we say the word love, but we really meant tough love or I'll love you from a distance or
Conditioned love.
conditioned,
Fake.
fake, feigned,
Fake love.
conditioned love. Yeah, it's not real. It's not. There's real love, and everybody. If you love me, I'll feel it. If I love you, you'll feel it, right? It just is what it is. No, there are no words that need to be said. Simple. It's so effortless and easy, and yet we want to make life difficult. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You can't be sitting there judging somebody who wants to be going through an anxiety attack right now, because that's an honorable act. Like every single act is, if somebody's choosing to go through it. Now, if you're starting to mess with somebody, I got something to say about it, and I'll step in. We had 8 million kids or so get taken, just go missing on the planet in a short period of time. That drives me crazy all of a sudden. I'm in a place where I'm like, we're going to do something about that. We have to. The light has to illuminate that darkness because we can't stand. I mean, we have collective trust. How do we have collective trust with that kind of stuff going on?
Yeah.
No, we need collective trust, and that kind of stuff can't be going on. We're going to eliminate that, and it's real easy. You just basically just be the light. Everybody just be the light yourself, and it just goes away. It scurries. It dissipates. It falls apart. It just disintegrates. It goes away. And it can happen effortlessly without the violence because we can let go of our violence. It's just a choice. Hey, I'm not going to approach this violently anymore. Hey guys, what's a way that I can do this better? Because you've seen how I get aggressive sometimes. So then I ask for your advice, and all of a sudden you give me the gift that now I can turn that fat little caterpillar that was just consume, went into his cocoon. I can liquefy him all the
I
way.
feel like you're talking to the egregore that would represent the United States of America.
I think it represents most of us in our consumption phase.
Well, the program we've come through.
Exactly. We just that was going to be our story. We had to
That thing you said too about how like someone choosing to have like an anxiety attack, sometimes they won't consciously know that they are because it's the body that's addicted to a chemical reaction.
Exactly, but
And
yes.
so unless you're like in mind and body coherence, your body's going to keep putting yourself in those situations because it's addicted to those, even if they're like terrible fights or whatever. And until you figure that out and get in coherence, you'll always be faced with that.
That's right. The reason I was bringing it up is because I was saying if somebody's going through something, I'm not going to go over and say, hey, here's how you get out of it.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson early on when I started. That you don't go and try to peel somebody's cocoon off for them.
Yeah.
They're not strong enough.
We
want to be going through the experiences that we want to be going
You'll
through.
do that into a 75-mile-an-hour car on the freeway, and they're gone.
Exactly.
Right? Tools, and they have to do it themselves. Like you can lead them to the water, they have to drink it. You know. Like,
Exactly. It's all based on choice, and we all honor that choice. That's where collective trust is built off of. That we have to have an understanding that choice matters for everyone, right? I got to honor choice itself. Now I can actually start building some morality and some intentionality. Now I got a baseline at least. Now I got a blank slate that I can write my first word on.
You know, I think a good tool that I learned, like, we're on the subject of anxiety and stuff, you know, I think the whole, like, self-talk thing, man, like, when you become aware of your inner dialogue, when you focus on those thoughts and what's provoking the anxiety, it's really quite profound. Like, it's like, what if this happens? It's like,
You immediately feel
What if this happens? Like,
What if that?
what if I show up at Surrender Lab and people judge me?
Right.
Shit, you know, like
Right,
it's
right.
just thoughts like that. You know, there's just certain. It's the thing in psychology. So there's like 5 different sub-personality types, right? You have the worrier, perfectionism. So like perfectionism's just gonna, it's gotta be like this. It's gotta be perfect, right?
Mhm.
Or
Those all exist in a Venn diagram of overlap and spectral influence. I would say.
Yeah, constant, every single
You can be a
moment.
little bit of all those things, or a lot of some of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I feel like everyone has those components in them, and like
Right.
it's just being observing of those thoughts, like and not becoming identified with it.
Yeah.
That was a big thing that Eckhart Tolle was like.
Mhm.
That's a big thing that he preaches. Just watching the thinker and stuff like that. But
Powerful.
yeah, it's I don't know. Shit.
That was good. Thank you very much.
Wow, we really covered a lot tonight.
For real, though.
You know, before we really close the show,
Before we
I'd
close,
love to
does
know
anybody
if-
else
yeah,
want to share?
Exactly. Does anyone else feel like they want to share?
Thank you all for providing high density information.
Definitely. Lots of downloads.
This is an hour well spent.
So good, so good. I love that we do this. It's so nice. I love you guys so much.
For real, bro.
Anybody else? Be done? Alright, should we turn this off, Ash?
Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah,
Oh,
thanks
wonderful.
everybody.
Thank you so much for coming,
Right.
everyone. It was so
You can,
much-
your back's right
I
to this.
know,
Do you want to say
I know.
anything to
Thank
anybody?
you.
Should we all go to the camera
No,
and tell
the
everybody
camera.
that's out there that collective trust is the real thing? We can all move into it.
It's,
Anything? We have come-
it's not recording.
Oh, you already turned off?